timer.
We are now being recorded.
You are now being recorded.
The simulation has started.
Are you ready? I can turn this on at any moment.
Okay, I think we're in a good spot.
Okay.
Alright. Alright.
All right.
Timer's going.
Timer is going. 30 minutes. Let's see how we do.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Under the Sun and Moon with Michelle and Kes. I am Kes.
And I'm Michelle. Welcome back.
Hello. You can see us again.
I know.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
So,
It's almost like we're in the 21st century.
I know. It's about damn time. You mentioned last time about what this episode would be about.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to take the wheel on that? 'Cause
Sure.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
so-
your creation.
Yeah, I know last time we talked about the store, and this is kind of related to the store, but really it's a good topic for us to have a conversation on.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about internships. I know that it's very popular within college programs and in universities to try to get your students to do an internship while they're in school. Kes did one. My son-in-law did one. Yeah. And sometimes what you learn from your internship is, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But also with high schools, trying to get high school students to do internships. And so we want to have interns with the store, but not specifically about that. I just wanted to talk about internships in general and some of people know the bonuses, I think, of an internship.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I just mentioned that I don't think people realize is that sometimes the plus of doing an internship is that you get that experience and you go, no, this is not for me. So if your kid comes home and they're like, okay, I don't want to do this. I definitely don't want to do this. Definitely, please don't look at the internship as a failure. That's a success.
Yeah. Because they taught you something.
Because you definitely learned. I thought I really wanted to do this, and you know what I just realized? No, I don't want to do this. So that's definitely one of the big pluses with interning, I think, is that you get to try something out and really see if it's for you. But I want to talk about some of the
I am listening.
Some of the complexities, I guess, let's just say,
Okay.
of interning. I have had dozens of interns over the years. I started with interns. We had interns at the Albany County Department of Health when I worked there in the mid to late 90s. And then when I worked at the New York State Museum for 9.5 years, we had interns. I had interns at every position that I had there, whether I was working in archaeology, museum education, or in a management position. And I had undergraduate interns, graduate interns, including PhD candidates that were interns. I had high school interns. And one of the things that I definitely know that I want to see people do as we continue to move forward with this idea of giving people work experiences is that internships, watch Kes's face, are paid. This should not be considered an opportunity to get people to come in and work for free. I just heard her give the sigh.
Not because I'm angry at what you said, but because I'm angry.
Right. Okay, so you did an internship in college, so you were almost 20 years old.
It was like...
Because it was the year your father died. It was that summer that he was...
I finished my
at the end of his life.
I finished my internship 10 days after I turned 20.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And
I had been in it since May.
Yeah. And did you get paid?
No.
And how many hours did you work per week? And I mean work.
Per week? I don't even know, honestly. But I had to have a total of 120 hours total, and I maxed
120 hours in roughly 3 months.
Yeah.
Right? So 40 hours per month. But
Right.
you had 120 hours in July, a month before the internship ended.
Yeah. I ended with about like 130 something.
And this was a photography internship. Can you tell people what you did?
I interned with a wonderful woman, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And I interned with her because I was interested at the time strictly being a wedding photographer, and that's what she does. she does weddings and she does engagements and she does things like that.
Romance.
Yeah, romance, pretty
Yeah.
much.
And she does it really well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's
Yeah.
wildly talented. And so I interned with her. She's a photographer out in Syracuse. Can I name drop her?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll tag her.
Yeah. Her name is Carrie Lynn. Well, her business name is Carrie Lynn
Photography. Yeah.
And she does really nice, in my opinion, really high-end weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
because we're low income people.
yeah. And so, she runs the business pretty solely by herself.
Mm-hmm.
Which
she takes an intern every year.
Summer, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the year she had in
don't.
addition to her family, but
I don't.
but
think
every
so.
every year she takes an intern.
Yeah.
And what were you doing?
I was doing the most amount of editing I had ever done in my life,
Mm-hmm.
which was super helpful because now I know how to edit.
And to
Like,
edit quickly, right? To really,
she really helped me pip that up.
because no customer is waiting for their photos more than a bride.
No, nobody.
Yeah.
And so I was doing a lot of editing. I was second shooting for a few weddings. Well, kind of third shooting, really, because she had already hired, like, previous second shooters
So you learned
before I
about
stepped
that.
in.
I mean, did you really understand the concept of a second shooter for weddings or a third shooter and what they did? And...
Yeah, she helped me a lot with that.
Okay, so that was a good learning experience.
And I did a little bit of, like, admin stuff, too. Like, we worked on pamphlets for her workshops and her classes and her website, and just, she showed me quite a bit just about being a one-person business.
Mm-hmm. A specific business, too.
Yes.
A wedding. A
Yeah.
romance.
Romance.
Photographer. She did engagements. She did an anniversary.
Yes,
shoot.
she did an anniversary shoot.
Mm-hmm.
That was
And-
really fun.
And you
It was
came
so
away from
cute.
that and you said, I don't want to exclusively do weddings.
No.
This is not,
This is,
I can do it,
Yeah, sure.
but this is not where I want to be.
Right. And I
Right.
actually, like, even on my website, if you look at it, I specifically have types of weddings I will do.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I've cut myself down to, like, I will only do elopements, and I will only do small weddings, like 50, 60-ish people, usually. There's one that I'm doing, like, later on that's, like, 100 and plus people, but that's because I'm hiring somebody else.
Right. And we can
to
talk
help
about
with me.
that aspect of the photography business another time.
Right.
But when we're talking about the internship, with what you did
Mm-hmm.
and what you learned
Yeah.
from that experience, which was being a wedding photographer specifically, nope, not necessarily.
No,
I'll
not
still do
really.
them. I
Sure,
actually
yeah.
enjoy them, but it helped you to realize the type of photography that you wanted to do, more
Yeah.
intimate, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I had.
Did you get paid to do the internship?
No.
Did the internship cost you money?
Oh yeah. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, it did.
Okay, so how did it cost you money? This is something that probably a lot of people don't realize.
So
You got credit for the internship through the college.
I did get credit for the internship through the college.
And
I did
why?
because I had to pay for it.
Because you had to pay for the credits.
But also,
Yeah, so that's part of the student loans.
yeah.
Paid someone.
Yeah, because it was a summer course that was taken outside of the academic year.
Mhm.
I had to pay $800 and some change dollars for it.
And
And I had to pay for travel
a hotel,
and hotel.
because you ended up having to stay in a hotel. We won't talk about that.
No, we don't.
And you had to take a prep course
Uh-huh.
for the internship.
Yes.
And then after all this is done, you had to write a paper and do more after the internship was over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is
I was doing stuff for the internship when the fall semester started.
right, and this is not unusual. So we're talking about way more than 120 hours in 3 months.
Right, and by the way,
Probably talking about twice.
I want to preface the
Mhm.
fact that, like, again, I don't blame me not getting paid on Carrie.
No, this isn't
That's
about
not
that.
about
no,
that,
this is
no.
about a greater system that exists.
Right.
Right.
Uh-huh. I'm saying that
Every intern I ever had for the State Museum, and if you're out there and you were my intern, I'm really sorry, because I had no control over it, never got paid. And they
really?
There's no money in that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Again, not blaming you. I'm just like, the bigger system should have done something.
You would think. And the thing is that there are internships out there that you get paid for. I've known people that have done accounting internships and gotten paid like at the same level as other people that work full time for the company get paid. Or they only get paid when they're on vacation from school and they're working full time, but the rest of the time the work that they do, they're not paid. But either way, they're able to earn money during the internship, and it tends to be people in business, accounting, things like that. I can't speak to the healthcare field,
No.
how that works.
I know.
But for a lot of businesses out there, a lot of fields out there, they're taking on these interns and providing this service, and it can cost you time and money, but we're continuously sending the message to people, to high school students and to college students, or to just adults that want to intern to get some experience, to see if they want to be in this field, or to try to get the work experience so that maybe then they can get a job in the field, that the work that they're doing has no value.
Yeah.
And that's just simply not true. And this is the reason I wanted to talk about this is not just because we want to do internships through the store,
Right.
but this is part of a larger movement that we're seeing right now. So not just the movement for the increase in minimum wage across the country. New York has a higher minimum wage than the federal minimum wage. Thank goodness for that. It's still pretty terrible. I mean, you can't live off of 59 or something an hour. That's not a living wage.
Yeah.
You can't pay rent off of that and buy food and pay your utilities.
And just live.
It's just not possible. You can't even find apartments that would enable you to be able to do that.
Oh no, because you have to make, like when I was hunting for apartments with my husband, we were turned down from so many apartments because we were specifically asked to make 3 times, like
The amount of income that you actually
had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no, I don't know anybody that does that.
To rent an apartment.
Yeah.
Right. That's 21 or 22 years old.
Right.
Or even that's 40 years old.
Yeah.
And when they're asking you to make 3 times the amount you were making, they're asking between the two of you to make well above what the average American earns
Yeah,
each
I know.
year.
It didn't make any damn sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what the reason that I wanted to bring this up was I wanted to talk about the value of people and making sure that when you're looking at an internship, I mean, sometimes you don't have a choice. You're under the gun. The college or the university or the high school or whomever, even if it's through the Department of Labor, they're going to say to you, you need to get this done. And sometimes you're left without a choice and you're interning for free. But that just shouldn't be the case. So whenever you're out there, no matter how old you are, and you're in a situation where you're looking for an internship and you're hunting for one, make sure that you ask the question flat out. Am I going to get paid? Is it an hourly rate? Do I get a stipend? Or instead of saying, am I going to get paid, say how much does this internship pay and how does it pay? Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly? Is it monthly? And how am I going to expect that money to come in?
Right.
So that we can...
I feel bad. I'm doing work while
I know, right?
I'm sorry.
I'm doing this all by myself today.
You are not. Mom.
But my point is, and this is my overarching theme for this year, if you saw the Instagram post that I made yesterday, is lean in. Lean in. Now, this is a concept. This is based upon a book written by Sheryl Sandberg, and it has to do with women really leaning in and making demands. Like, no, I deserve this raise. No, I'm not starting at this salary. These are the things that I need. No, I'm not sharing an office with someone if that guy has his own private office. Not if I have to meet with employees and do employee reviews, which is a situation that I was in once.
What?
Yeah, but I'm saying lean in, make the ask, If you're not comfortable making the ask, you can do it as shyly as possible. But at least when you put it up front, you're saying to someone, and then you're mentally saying to yourself, I'm worth it. I'm worth asking. Am I going to get any sort of reimbursement for this? Because most of the time, internships cost, even if you're a high school student and you're not paying credit, it still costs you money. You still need to get there. You might need to be dressed a certain way to be working at that job. Like, if maybe you need business attire and a lot of people don't have that. Maybe you need a particular pair of shoes or work boots because of the type of environment you're working in.
Right.
These things, having a job outside the home, inside the home, it costs money. It's a job. You might need to bring lunch with you, and you can't just eat whatever's at the house.
Right.
They cost you money, and you should be getting something in return, because I think that helps everyone to understand their value, right? Know your value.
Know your value.
Know your worth.
Yes, that's my go-to.
Know your worth, and lean into that. And
I need it like tattooed.
And make that ask. Even if they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, this isn't a paid internship," and you say to them, "Okay, well, I'm gonna have to think about it, but thanks."
Oh yeah.
If you have to go back to them later and say, I've considered it, and I think this is an experience that I'd like to have, that's okay. It's okay for you to be able to make that choice.
We're not saying that you have to turn down an internship.
No, you should never
Right.
feel like you have to turn down an opportunity
Right.
that you really want.
Mm-hmm.
But we are saying, make the ask.
Yes. Because if you don't,
What's the worst that can happen? They say no? If you start out with no money anyway, what difference? It makes absolutely no difference. And you'll get a feel for things. Like, maybe this person will be like, well, we can't actually offer anything right now, but let me work on that. Mm-hmm. Or you could say to them, I understand that I'm new to this field. I do have this training. I do have this education. I've been taking photography classes for 2 years, but maybe after the first month, is there a way to offer some kind of a stipend in months 2 and 3?
Right.
There are different ways, right, to approach this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am listening to you.
You did get something at the end of your internship.
I did. I got a few things, actually.
Well, one of the big things.
The big thing was that I got a free photo shoot.
Private photo shoot. Mm-hmm. And they ended up being your engagement photos, but also photos that you use for your website and for branding photos, which they're very valuable. It was not nothing.
Right.
So that's also something that you might be able to work into it. Let's say you're interning for a farm, and you're like, okay, I can't get paid to work on this organic farm right now, but can I get food?
Right.
Or can I come here and do a private photo shoot for a promotion for my business and have it not cost me anything? There are, don't forget that bartering community, man, because it is strong.
Yeah,
that's how she got the necklace she's wearing right now.
Is she beautiful?
Yeah.
She's so great.
The metal and marrow.
Metal and marrow makes awesome stuff.
My sandwich is getting cold.
I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts on internships?
I think
now that you've been organizing for
I've been
29
listening
minutes.
the entire time. No.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening the entire time. I have really mixed feelings about a lot of internships because of seeing other people go through internships that were like really difficult. Like, again, I'm not going to say who it was, but one person in particular lived out of state, in a different state, for an entire semester, and was working for...
Basically went to work every day.
Yeah, working for a lobbyist.
Took their classes online.
Still
took classes, but worked full time.
Lived in an apartment. Did not get paid.
Right. Right.
The amount of food that this poor person did not have. Like,
And when this individual showed up, they acted like they weren't expecting them.
mm-hmm.
So let's look at the flip side of that.
Mm-hmm.
As an employer
Yeah.
who's thinking about taking on an intern, what should you be prepared for?
As an
First of all, you should be prepared for
Right.
the person to show up.
Yeah, you shouldn't show up and be like, oh, I didn't know you were
Oh,
coming.
that's right. You were starting today.
Yeah, because
No.
that actually happened.
No, wrong answer.
I was like, oh my god.
But what else?
Sorry.
I'll tell you some of the basic things.
Mm-hmm.
Space.
Yes.
Does this person, they don't necessarily, some jobs, they don't require like a desk or a chair,
Right.
but when they come in, where do they put their lunch or their
Right.
dinner if it's an evening shift?
Mm-hmm.
Where do they put their coat?
Where do they park
If
their
they
car if they
carry a
have
bag,
one?
where do they park their car? Do they need an ID?
Yeah.
Should they have an ID?
Mm-hmm.
If you're entrusting someone to the point where you're going to give them access to, maybe they get an email, maybe they have to log into the system so that you can keep track of their hours, or you want them to, a lot of interns right now tend to be social media. There's a lot of social media internships because people are taking advantage of the fact that younger people know more and understand more about Facebook, Instagram, the metaverse,
Yeah.
Twitter,
They're also taking
YouTube videos,
They're taking advantage of the fact that
TikTok.
that's a big
It's
one.
a big one.
They're taking advantage of the fact that people work from home.
Right.
Like that's a really big thing now, obviously.
Right, so
because
you don't
of-
need to provide them with any space, but you're giving them access to your digital world.
Right. And that's a lot.
So think about that. That's costly.
Yeah.
Like if they could screw you over pretty quickly
and
if
you're
you don't set this up right.
and you're putting this into their hands.
Mm-hmm. And you're turning something over to them.
Uh-huh.
So be prepared. Be prepared every single time for your meeting with your intern. If they're physically coming in, that they're coming in, what time they'll be there.
Yeah.
You're expecting them to be ready and you're expecting them to provide a service to you. You need to be ready on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And those are just small things
Right.
to think about.
Mm-hmm.
On the bigger end, do you have a plan? Like when this internship ends, what happens when this person is gone?
Right.
Are you building a task that no one's ready to take over?
Right.
How do you get closure out of this?
Mm-hmm.
I know that for my interns, for some of them when they were graduate students, I had to give a review, I had to write a report.
Yeah.
There was feedback, there might have been a closeout interview, not just with the student, but with their advisor.
Carrie I think she did a report for me, and like she kept track of my hours and things like that.
Mhm.
And I don't know if there was an exit interview with my advisor per se, but there was a lot of closing stuff that she did.
Sure, there's a lot of paperwork involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be prepared for that as well.
Yeah.
So there is a give and there's a take.
Right.
But overall, my focus is number one, think about it before you say no as an employer. Because I've seen many employers say no because they don't have the time
Right.
or whatever. And that's okay. I mean, if you've really assessed it and you're like, man, that would be great, but I just can't give you what you need,
Yeah.
I totally respect that.
Yeah.
But also, think about what you might be getting in return for this service. That's number one. Can I provide someone with the education and training that they might need? It's usually not long term. Usually we're talking about 3 months or so
Yeah.
of work. And what can you offer them other than that work experience? Because what you don't want to, bless you, what you don't want to offer them is the message that
The
your
work you
work
do is
has no
not.
value. No, yeah. You have no worth. You okay?
Sorry, yeah, that hurt.
Sorry. Man, we are off the rails today.
I know.
I
it's
know,
fine.
right? So,
I think that.
I'm gonna shoot.
Yeah, go ahead. I also I have a few friends who did get paid for their internships. Not through the bigger system of which we're like talking about that should be doing it, but through the internship provider themselves. And again, they like these people in particular went out of state, and they actually this internship place gave them a place to live while they were doing their internship.
Right.
Like, good.
Yeah. So, you know, and that sends a big message, like recognizing that this was a very unique situation.
Yeah, it was.
And because it's a unique situation, and you need someone there, because maybe it's a little remote, that maybe you could put a roof over someone's head, and, you know, and they would have electricity and air conditioning and a decent bed to sleep in, and so that, you know, that's a give.
Right.
Instead of saying to someone, you're going to need to find an apartment
Yeah.
for 3 months, which is really hard and very expensive. You know, to be able to provide them with those kinds of things, that's very helpful.
I know that the only reason that this one person was able to get an apartment for going to work for the lobbyist was because that tied into their college tuition, they had to like almost take out a loan to be able to pay for this apartment. So that's tied into their student loans now. So
now the person who was provided with a residence, they didn't need to transport also back and forth to work.
right, it was on the property.
Right, but the person who had the apartment had to use the subway system.
Yep, had to take buses.
Yep.
And walked a lot.
But, you know, so that's also an investment of time. Think about these things.
Yeah.
What do you think the ideal internship is? You've got exactly 1 minute.
The ideal internship, I believe, is one that you can walk out of there like learning a lot of what you were hoping to learn, whether it's something that you end up doing or not.
Right.
An internship that if the person that you're interning with doesn't pay you, the system that you're getting like the internship credit from should pay you.
Yeah, there should be at least, at the very least, if you have to pay for tuition,
Right.
at the very least it should be a zero
Yes.
at the end. Not taking a loss.
Right.
Several $1,000 loss.
Yeah. It should be an internship that doesn't, well, in my opinion, it shouldn't make you feel like you're a robot. Like, you should be able to actually function as a human and not just do the internship all the time. There should be literally a work-life balance. There should be...
Oh, wow. You ran out of time.
I always run out of time.
I think another thing about when you're looking for an internship and you're looking for the ideal internship is to look at reviews if you can find any, because personalities matter.
Yeah.
Working together matters. And you want to find an internship with someone who is going to blend with you and you're going to have a good relationship with, because basically like a job, you're going to be spending 3 months working with this individual, and that needs to be something where you're not hating the relationship at the end of each day. You're like, oh my God, I need to get out of here. So I think that's also a really big one.
Because, like, in my personal opinion, I feel like me and Carrie's personalities, like, clash a lot, but
in the end,
it still worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, find somebody that you don't hit a wall with.
Sure.
Kind of. But, yeah.
We got 56, 5, 4.
If you keep counting down, we're losing track of time.
Okay, so that's our conversation about internship. Think about it. I'd really like to hear from you guys and hear about internships that you had that you loved.
Yes.
Internships you had that were a nightmare.
Right.
Usually we get more negative feedback than positive. It's just common, but I'd love to hear about the ones that worked really well for you and what it was that made that internship a wonderful, positive experience. for you.
Okay.
All right, so we ran out of time. Story of our lives. But we're really close to 30 minutes.
And I think next time we're going to do this on a different format again. Just so we can, like...
Just keep experimenting
Yeah.
to figure out what works.
Yeah. But yeah, internships are good obviously if you work with the right people and you...
I think if both parties approach it with good intent.
Yes.
And planning. So it's not just beneficial to have a good heart,
Right.
but you need to make a plan
Right.
so that things actually come together.
Yeah. And the bigger people should be paying if...
Or providing some sort of
Yeah.
compensation. If you can't come up with the money,
Yeah, I don't mean paying as in just money. I
there
mean
might
paying
be
as
other
in-
resources that you can provide someone
Right.
that might have value to them.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
I know. We're actually going to come back, hopefully on Friday,
Okay.
and do another 30 minutes.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was like Friday. Yes, Friday.
And what do we... Kes wants to do a ranch.
I want the next episode to talk about, because I've been having this pet peeve recently, because I don't know if it's just because of the way that you and I talk to each other, or like how you raised me to communicate with people.
That's probably what it is.
But slang in today's world doesn't make any sense.
Okay, specifically you want to talk about, let me see if I can get this right. Social media communication, but in the real world.
Yeah.
So IRL. I don't want to hear your social media weird slang. That's what you're saying.
And you just used it too, IRL.
I said IRL.
Yeah.
I did that on purpose. Go, Mom. Okay.
So yeah, a little bit of a turn, talking more about just stuff under the sun and moon.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, that bother me.
Pet peeves. Next time
pretty much.
on Under the Sun and Moon podcast with Michelle and Kes.
And on that note,
this
has been Under the Sun and Moon with Michelle and Kes.
Thanks for watching and listening.
Thank you for watching. Oh, God, it doesn't make any sense.